I'm Scott Danner with Freedom Street Partners, and I have a very special guest today. My guest is Freedom Street's very own Valerie Rivera, and she is our COO. And her journey with our company is only part of the story. The real story is our friendship, our collaborative working relationship, and the ability for us to take that and really create something special. That's what we're here to talk through. And I can still remember at our previous firm, your first day on the job, and you know we meet each other and we're walking through, and I'm the trainer and you're the trainee, and we have this way of doing business at Edward Jones where knocking on doors is an important part of getting out and just meeting people in the community. And it was never really about sales. It was about meeting people, right? But Val, what did you do? First day you had to go knock on doors. What was that day like? Paint the picture and tell everybody the phone call you make to me.
Right. Oh boy. Well, my first day knocking on doors, I was quite a bit nervous. And so I got out of my car after driving around a few times, and it didn't go so well. So I call Scott crying. And I say, I can't do this job. This is not for me. And when I sent that call to Scott, he told me,
there's no crying in door knocking. This is a hard thing. It's hard for everyone. But the reality is, through every single door, one negative one is going to yield a couple positive ones. And getting through this comfort zone, or lack of comfort zone, is going to help us grow. It's really a process. You're going to learn from it. And she said, all right, well, I'll try it again. And then you called me at the end of the day.
Right.
And what was that like?
Picked a new street, got out of my car, did it again, and it was a much better reaction from people I was knocking on the door. And so what I did learn early on was that sometimes you got to do things that make you uncomfortable if you want to grow.
Like videos, right?
Like videos, yes.
I mean, I think the reason I tell that story is it really set us up. We built a lot of trust in each other. You stepped way out of your comfort zone, almost like this is not a career for me, to trusting the process, one that's very difficult for everyone. Like, that's not how most people start their financial advisory practice. And it's very difficult for even the ones that did. So there's a great pride that goes with that. But the other side is we really built the friendship off of it. After your training was over, you and your husband Errol took Adrian, my wife, and I out to dinner to celebrate the next chapter, you moving on to the next phase. And, Errol and I happen to be big soccer fans, right? And so we find that we started playing soccer together. And so now we're friends off the field and on the field. You and my wife have so many similarities. We started to actually build our families at the same time, right? I mean, your story was one where, what are some of those similarities and what's some of the things that we saw as we built into the next chapter of our working relationship?
Well, when I started at Edward Jones and in the financial services field, didn't have any children. So as a couple years into the business, Adrian got pregnant and then I did. And so we ended up having children at the same periods of time, and we learned very quickly that our social life was changing, right? So we didn't want to go out and hang out with the friends that were still at the bars. We kind of got a little
boring.
Yep, that's a good word for it.
Fun, but boring.
Friday nights became about eating in, talking about children and cleaning up diapers and vomit and everything else that comes with kids, and that became our Friday night tradition, which we still continue today. And our kids are in high school and middle school now. So
well, what it really shows you is we built a foundation on friendship, and work was always another aside that allowed us to have similarities. Soccer was always another thing that Errol and I had in common, and we could always kind of go and navigate the conversations. There was always something we could do. I remember we were so comfortable as friends that there was one day that we were all reading something separately, quietly, sitting in the living room while the kids were playing, and there was no conversation. And it was funny because I'm a talker and you're a talker, and not as much as me. And But the truth is, we then continue to develop the business, and you continue to develop your business. That was really special. What do you think helped you early on in your career? Maybe it was your background at American Funds earlier. Maybe it was some personality traits. What do you think were some of the things that really had you stand out?
Well, I learned early in my career that I was really good at building relationships and providing that extra layer of service. But what I struggled with was telling people what to do. I really had a difficult time, which Scott does not have trouble telling people what to do. Actually, sometimes he likes to give advice even when we don't want it. So, but
all the time.
But that's what made us, I think, over the years grow not only in our friendship but also in our work environment, right? So we were able to...
The balance, you mean?
The balance. It made you a great mentor for me because the things that I struggled at, you really were able to help me with. And the things that you struggled with, I was able to give you insight and help you with your business.
Sure. And fast forward, we start Freedom Street Partners. And, I always had this feeling that we would just work great together. I mean, anything we did as friends, our families, we were one unit moving together towards a common goal. And so when we started this, you didn't even know that I was doing this because I kept it very, very to myself. But once you found out and you knew, it was inevitable that, a year later or so, you started to work with us. And you came in a financial advisory role, working and collaborating with our client-focused work and really developing and building that. But your role has grown with us. I mean, you've seen, a constant personal and professional growth to the director of operations and today the COO. And as our company expands in multiple states, pretty big numbers that you're in charge of, big teams, you've done some amazing things. And I know it kind of starts from just the foundational trust we had in working together. What are some of the things that, when you took that leap,
right,
and you came over, what are some of the things that were going through your brain, and maybe where does it put you today? What are some of the things you think about today that made you happy that you did that?
Right. Well, just like we joked about these videos, right? They make you uncomfortable, but you have to be uncomfortable if you want to grow. And so, moving from a position that was very comfortable for me, something I was familiar with, and taking that leap into the unknown, so to say, and just trusting you was, even though we were great friends and still are great friends, it was very difficult for me to take that leap. But it got me where I am today. And so I'm really proud of myself that I was able to do that and overcome some of my fears and anxiety about changing something that was comfortable. And like you said, I started here as in a financial advisory role and really focused on client service, which kind of moved me into being director of operations, where we started implementing strategies. But as our business has grown and we've taken on a lot of new teams and employees, that role has developed into the chief operating officer. And I don't take that lightly. It's been a great experience. I'm still learning. I love my job. And, if I didn't take that leap early on, I wouldn't be where I am today.
What's interesting is I think a lot of practices, law practices, accounting practices, whatever, especially family practices where there's lots of friends and family that have worked together for many, many years. There's always a challenge with work and friendship and family and how they all combine together. And I'm very proud that our families are still as close today, if not closer than they ever have been. But from a professional standpoint, your pride is only the beginning of something that I think we feel as a team, and our partners and all of us who have been working to build this thing from the beginning, because you've added layers that we didn't have before. You have directors meetings every Monday, and 60% of our directors are women. Right. And that adds a whole nother direction to what we're doing. And you found some really great people to bring onto our team. What's your recipe for success?
I mean, I think we're fortunate here. We spent the first several years at Freedom Street really working hard and developing culture and make sure that our employees knew our culture and it's carried out in our vision every day. And because of that, we've been really fortunate for a lot of the directors and employees that have come to us really came to us. We are excited about what our vision is. We express it. We talk openly about it, and we've been able to attract the right people.
Yeah, and your ability to integrate the ideas. I mean, CEO, COO. The other thing is there's a lot of firms out there that are financial advisory firms, law firms, etc. Same type of thing that we just mentioned when it's friends working together that have titles like COO and CEO, but they don't always do those roles.
Right.
We do those roles, and you as a COO, you are professionally growing by working with the COO Alliance and Cameron Harold's group. You're bringing integration to the ideas. And the CEOs, our vision can be wide and long and
right.
10, 20 years in the future. And it's your job, of which you do very, very well, of communicating with us in a way to help us break it down into the steps that are needed. Sometimes we laugh because you look at the steps from the starting point
right.
to the end. I start with the end in mind and work backwards, right? And that's really great when you're working with clients. I mean, it's the same mentality. When you can have teams that are collaborating from a perspective of here's the action steps to get us from point A to point B, and we can start here. But here's the vision, the long-term outlook. We execute upon the same things together for our clients as we do in this company. And I think that that's also a special collaboration, and we're building a culture. I mean, I
right.
think that's, you mentioned that word. What are some of your favorite things about being a part of this culture and growing in this team and really growing our team?
Right. So one of the fun things that we do, I mean, we have huddles every Monday and Fridays, which has been great, especially when part of the time we've been remote or we have some of our employees are out of state. So it's been really good environment to get together every Monday, kick off the week, talk about how our weekend was. And then every Friday we recap our challenges and how we overcame them, and then what are our big wins.
Right. And I think in the culture, when you're talking about that, you really love what you do. I mean,
mm-hmm.
we joke sometimes on our Friday nights, we put time limits because we'll start talking about business. Right. And no matter how much our spouses love us, it's not super cool to hear everything about Freedom Street Partners and all of our great stuff that's going on when there's lots of great stuff going on in the real world. But we do have a life, then wealth optimization mentality. That's our tagline, but it's life first. And I think
right.
that's really what the culture we're trying to build around is. And we've created a compelling message, but the truth is the leadership, our leadership team, some of the people that our audience is getting to meet over the next several weeks, months, year, we've been able to really take that to a new level because of the right people. We've
That's
always had, what's our motto? Our motto is people first.
People first, and then better together mentality. So
yeah, like my favorite Jack Johnson song, Better Together. It's a very, very cool mentality when you know you have blind spots and you know the people that sit next to you on a day-to-day basis can not only fill them in, but make you stronger so that the things that you're best at are turned up super loud in a positive way, not so loud that they're negatively impacting you.
Right.
And I think you're a very, very great compatible partner to work with. I'm honored to give everybody else a peek into our story. I can't wait to see the continued growth, the continued stretching of comfort zones for
right.
all of us, and hopefully the video experience is something that we'll get even more and more comfortable with as we go. I think you've done a phenomenal job. Thanks for joining us and everybody out there. I'm Scott Danner with Valerie Rivera, and we're Freedom Street Partners, and we're really thankful you joined us today.